See. All right. Day 4. Getting out boss. You already know. I was watching this video yesterday while trying to play some Zone Wars. I don't know. After I stopped streaming, I grinded a little bit, practiced my Zone Wars start and shit like that. But right now, I'm just rewatching the video.
Over their opponent so that they either take a chunk of damage
So, yeah,
or miss
that's
out
your
on an
guys'
easy
video watching.
opportunity to punish a mistake, and 99% of 1000 PR players have really bad movement. Some 1000 PR players
You guys really
do have
gotta watch
fantastic
that.
mechanics. They just don't know how to use them effectively. Having good mechanics though is nothing special in 2025. It's by far the most beloved aspect of the game, and therefore the aspect in which most people practice and become really good at. If you want to stand out and become uniquely good, you need to develop another aspect. Whether that be grinding Kovacs or CS2 like Thomas HD every day for a year to get elite level aim, being the most aware player ever, or a player who's just inhumanly consistent at exploits, for example. The first opportunity you get to do an abnormal exploit, you're in your opponent's box without them knowing, and as a result, you'll finish fights super fast and get great tournament results. When talking about the fact that 1000 PR players tunnel vision, what I mean is that they often in fights completely lock in on healing or getting away, instead of looking for opportunities to deal damage back to their opponent. They're not even thinking about the fact that they can shoot back when they're low on HP because they feel as though that's a too big risk. Dealing damage when low, when given a free opportunity, is crucial if you want to become a good fighter. The reason is simple. A good player will never let you heal anyways, so the only way to get some heals off is to deal counter damage. The reason low tier players tunnel vision on healing and building a ton of boxes is because this again works against bad players. But when you meet someone who's actually good, you need to use your gun. And if you don't, you'll just look like a complete flopper, tunnel visioning on trying to heal, not doing any damage back, and going down anyways. Like, it is 100 times better going down because you tried to deal counter damage and maybe made a tiny mistake when going for it, compared to not even trying to deal any damage back because you're just so locked in on popping a mini. The way you improve at dealing counter damage is to simply focus on staying 100% calm when you're low. Build an edit slowly and try your best to maintain awareness of your opponent. This can be quite difficult. And then when you see an opportunity to deal damage, whether that be through a peek, a surprise position, or a pre-fire, you take it instantly. When talking about movement, 1000 PR players are inhumanly good at doing peanut butter edits that are completely useless. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a 1000 PR player actually do a good peek. The way they're doing peanut butters, they could rather just do like 6 square edits. Peanut butter edits are actually terrible when not doing them right, because pre-aiming on someone who does a peanut butter, the most obvious edit in competitive Fortnite, is incredibly easy. Some 10-year-old kid playing on a beanbag on his PS5 can just hold his crosshair on where he thinks you'll edit because he knows you're a 1000 PR player and deal a max damage shot. Here's how to do a peanut butter on edit on release, since every single one of you are on it. You want to run all the way into the wall, have a cone under your feet and a flat above your head. This is incredibly important. Do the edit, jump sideways, shoot, and reset. This way, you'll be ridiculously difficult to hit, and 90% of the time, you'll get a free shot off. This edit is somewhat hard to do, but you can do 25 quad edits in a row, so I think you can get it down with some
Introducing the business card that gives back all you put in. The new Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business.
Honey Bunches of Oats presents Teens.
Okay. Nah. Yeah. Nah.
Oh, this shit's cool.
Next up, we have the most interesting level of
Yep. Yo, hello.
fighter in this video. and that is the level 3 fighter. These fighters have around 10,000 PR, and this is honestly a dangerous place to be. Some of these players can beat really good ones in creative consistency. I'm talking actual top tier pros, but in tournament games, they struggle a little bit. The main things I always see from 10,000 PR players is that they're super lazy when it comes to mastering their drop spot. Not only in terms of having a good drop map and getting a good glide to where they want to land, but they also rarely ever have a loot path or any idea how to farm to get way more mats than anyone else. Players that have 50k PR, for example, can drop perfectly 95% of the time, loot and farm fully on autopilot, and end up with much better circumstances compared to these 10k PR players. And when fighting off spawn with 100 mats versus someone who has 600 and way better healing than the 10k PR player, even though the 10k PR player may fundamentally be stronger than the 50k PR player in terms of aim, builds, and edits, he will unfortunately lose that fight 10 out of 10 times simply because the 50k PR player can just play it slowly, burn the 10k PR player's mats, and heals, and win easily. Another tiny mistake I see every single 10k PR player on the planet make, that better players don't make, is that they literally always fail at taking walls when applying pressure with their gun. They for some reason, more often than not, mistime their wall taking so that walls, cones, or stairs have 1 HP remaining. And because of this embarrassing mistake, they may fail to eliminate someone who would have been a really easy kill if they just managed to get the timing right of actually
Yo, bro, my Wi-Fi is not this ass, bro. I promise.
taking a build instead of leaving it at 1 HP. It almost seems like 10k PR players don't understand how big of a mistake this is. When watching some VODs from 10k PR players for this video, I got genuinely surprised at how bad these players were at claiming builds with their guns. What becomes very apparent at this level is that diagonal box fighting is very comfortable. In comparison to 100 PR and 1000 PR players, these fighters can comfortably play from angles in which they are consistently hard to hit, in comparison to the lower levels where they just jump down on a stair and start smacking the wall. They're also way more careful with taking chip damage. Most 10k PR players understand that a single tag, even if it's just for 50 damage, can change the course of an entire game and tournament. And it's very obvious in the way that they play that they have an understanding of exactly this. They don't allow themselves to get tagged just so that they can play defensively in their comfortable little 2x2. When 10k PR players are scuffed though, they are not anywhere near the level of pros. This is one of the biggest differences you'll see. Players with 10k PR are very comfortable when under the right circumstances. I'm talking good mats and good heals. But once they're low on HP and have almost no mats, they're often not good at all. Becoming scuffed in a game is something that will happen no matter how good of a player you are. So being able to combat these games somewhat consistently will help you skyrocket your tournament placements. Getting a top 5 in a game where most players would have gotten a top 25 is an amazing attribute to have as a player. In order to become someone who is good at this, you need to just have almost delusional self-confidence. When you are on 40 HP and have 5 builds, make sure your brain is still working on trying to find a way to win the game or fight you're in. A lot of lower level players mentally give up under difficult circumstances. But if you do this, you'll never develop your ability to play scuffed, since you're not even giving yourself the opportunity to succeed. The second to last level we're going to be taking a look at is players who have around 50,000 PR. This is the level in which players are genuinely good. And the 3 main attributes that these players have that lower level players don't have is that they firstly are very good at not taking damage. I know we've talked about this quite a lot in this video, but when watching 50k PR players play, they'll mostly be aggressive, and you see that they're constantly thinking about how they're not going to take any damage at all. They understand that playing on 200 health throughout a fight makes them almost unkillable. Quick side note here, lower level players don't understand how massive of a difference being on, for example, 150 or 160 HP is compared to 200 HP. Now, if you're someone with strong fundamentals, you know how to piece control opponents consistently, outplay them mechanically throughout a fight, and know how to exploit in on people very consistently, but still for some reason don't succeed to a high level, chances are very high you just don't understand the importance of having 200 HP. Jumping in a box on 200 HP versus 150 HP is like night and day. On 200 health, you don't have to be perfect by any means. You can have mid-level aim and movement and still come out on top. Whereas if you jump in on 150 HP, you need to hit super hard shots instantly, have perfect tracking, and in addition, focus on having good movement so that you become a hard target to hit. When taking duels, especially in high elo lobbies, make sure you try your absolute hardest to maintain 200 health. I know it sounds painfully obvious, but if you just get this one thing down 100%, you'll be way more consistent throughout tournaments, get better placements, and develop your skill to an unflawed way. Which is more than I can say for 90% of players, because they like taking damage. The same rule definitely applies for endgames, by the way. Getting refreshes in endgames is so easy if you go for them with 200 health. Whereas if you go for them with 150 health, it becomes genuinely hard. The second attribute of 50k PR players and above is that they instantly know the player they're fighting. When starting a fight, they can tell within the first 5 seconds if their opponent is a flopper, a medium level player, and a high tier player. Understanding this is really important, because sometimes in tournaments, you may go for a beam on someone, and if you instantly can tell that they're bad because they build 1000 builds all around the place, and it's very obvious that they're stressing, that's a free kill. You'll refresh your mats, upgrade your heals, or get some movement. But if you go for a beam on someone and they react instantly, build only a little bit, and you see that they're ready to fight the second after you've connected your first shot, sometimes those fights are totally okay to disengage. This strategy has actually been used by many pros ever since the beginning of Fortnite, fighting players who you see are terrible and leaving those who you see are good. The first person I heard use it was actually Stompy during the World Cup qualifiers, and he qualified 7 times to the World Cup, so needless to say, it's a strategy that works. The final thing that's a very big difference between players at this level and lower tier players is their confidence when fighting on low HP. If you fight someone and you both deal 150 damage, most players would just heal and reset the fight. But because of 50k PR players' understanding of the game, they'll often just go for finishing the fight right then and there. This works consistently because the majority of players are unconfident when on 50 HP. A ton of players make bad plays when they're getting pushed when on 50 HP. And they know that their opponent is also low, because they think that just one shot will eliminate them.
If I were him, I'd bundle my home and auto and pick up the real victory. Savings.
Are you talking about...
And overall, being able to finish fights quickly and being confident on low HP is one of the clearest differences between high and low tier players. Now, the difference between 50k PR players and actual pros are many very small things. Things like how consistent you are at exploits, reload management, being consistent mechanically and aim-wise in laggy lobbies. 50k PR players are quite a lot less effective at taking opportunities to punish mistakes. Although they are very good, they often also tend to build like twice as much as tier 1 pros, and that punishes them extremely throughout the span of a game, and they overall just aren't as hard on themselves for the small mistakes they're making as the tier 1 pro players are. If they miss an exploit, that's no big deal, because they'll probably win the fight anyways. If they take 25 damage in a fight, that's also okay, because they'll probably win. And if they fail to piece control someone because they're 1 millisecond too late, they also don't blame themselves as hard as tier 1s. This is by far the biggest difference. What your brain tells you when making small mistakes. Tier 1s recognize every single tiny mistake, whereas tier 3s definitely don't. Lastly, we have level 5 fighters. And these fighters are players who have 150,000 PR and more. The first thing that shines through as a massive difference between these players and everyone else is how they punish every small little mistake in a fight. The way most players think about fights is like this: build, 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 edit, 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 shoot, build, 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 edit, 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 shoot. Whereas pro players think like this: how can I shoot, how can I shoot, how can I shoot, how can I shoot? And whilst they constantly think, how can I shoot my enemy, they build and edit a little bit. Like throughout a 1-minute fight, a pro will literally try to deal damage like 20 times, whereas a lower level player may try to deal damage 3 to 4 times. This mentality shift alone over time, just having the how can I shoot mindset, will make you a completely different player. People think this game is about building and editing, and of course it's a big part of it, but at the end of the day, you need to deal damage and punish mistakes inhumanly consistently if you want to make it. The reason top tier fighters are able to play like this is simply from just playing other good players every single day, often for years on end. You can't become an amazingly good fighter unless you're playing the other best fighters out there. When practicing against good players consistently, you'll understand what you can and cannot do against them. And spoiler alert, what you can do against them, you can do against everyone else as well. Because a mistake a tier 1 pro makes is probably a mistake a player with 5,000 PR makes as well. If you don't have a friend group of tier 1s, you need to just play tokens every single day for hours on end. Pros also have perfect drops, loot routes, farm routes, and they don't ever overbuild in fights like a lot of slightly lower tier players make.
Alright. I got that video, bro. But what I don't got is a fucking blanket, man. My lips are frozen. Hold on, bro. I need a blanket. My feet are just cold, bro. Oh, I'm streaming on 30 FPS on my fucking drone. Hold on. Oh, that shouldn't